In Brockton, we swing for the fences so we can touch home.
We coach in Brockton to instill the teamwork that builds a great winning tradition.
We do business in Brockton because here you can find a taste of home away from home.
We keep our company in Brockton because we love this city.
I study and learn in Brockton to achieve my goals.
When Brockton is home, everything is within reach.
Councilors, just before we take this particular item, I did ask the mayor if he would give us it's just a synopsis of the Rock Stadium in Shaw Center to where we're at, and it's not for discussion purposes, no Q&A. It's just him giving a synopsis to us because he did send us an email today on the tour that I, with him and some other department heads, went on Friday morning for about an hour. We both didn't climb the roof, though, but we did go through pretty much the whole stadium and the conference center. So it's just, again, it's just brief. That's it. No question, no Q&A. And then we'll probably, within the next 3 or 4 weeks, where it's located in my ward, I'll get together with the mayor, we'll file a resolve and move forward when he has much more further information to talk about where we need to go here. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Well, good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, councilors. Happy New Year, everybody. I did momentarily consider going up on the roof, but I wasn't sure who I could trust to hold the ladder for me, so. So I nixed that one. As was notified to the council last week, the city did take control and possession of the Shaw Center Campanelli Stadium complex. The Brockton 21st Century Corporation that has been a long time custodian of the property provided us with paperwork on December 31st acknowledging a default on their loan agreement with the city and voluntarily turning over basically the keys to the city. They did so in a very positive, cooperative nature, and have pledged to work with the city for a smooth transition. The first step of that process was on Friday when Mr. Gallerani, the former executive director of the B-21, who has been their point person in the stadium for the last 3 or 4 years, met us at the property on Friday to provide a walkthrough of both the Shaw Center and the stadium, an initial look, primarily for the benefit of the building commissioner and some of his tradespeople, and also for the facilities department of the school department, who I believe will be looking for some assistance with at least the short-term maintenance of the facility. Mr. Kasseri did send me an email today that I forwarded to the council with his punch list of immediate items that he feels need to be addressed. And these are not long-term fixes. These are simply, to use his phrase, to seal the envelope of the buildings, prevent any further deterioration or damage, stop the roof from leaking, prevent freezing of pipes during the winter, that type of thing. And so that I did share with the council today, and I think those are mostly things that can be performed by the city. At the same time, he has initiated taking a good hard look at what the major immediate capital needs are to bring the facility back to the condition that it should be in. And there was a report, a survey prepared for the B-21 about 3 years ago that took an extensive look at capital needs. And I think that's probably a starting point, but obviously there have been additional changes over the past 3 years since that report was compiled. So I've asked Mr. Kasseri to prepare for us an analysis of what he thinks are the immediate capital improvements that must be made, major systems that cannot be allowed to go any further. And as example, things like roofs, HVAC, leaking water, things of that sort that need to be addressed. I believe a reasonable timeline for that is maybe 2 to 3 weeks. He really needs to bring in some different specialists in different areas, have someone come in and take a good look at the HVAC, et cetera, and for him to compile that report to the council. I would like to schedule an opportunity for the council to tour the full facility with Mr. Kasseri. My suggestion would be if you could give him a couple weeks to put that initial analysis together. I think the tour might be far more beneficial to the council, with the opportunity to have some initial recommendations in front of you and ask to be shown and have the opportunity to look at some of the various issues that have been outlined to you. I had a conversation with the incoming council president, suggested, if we needed to do that on a Saturday to accommodate the various schedules of the councilors, we certainly will accommodate that. And as we've done many other tours, we may want to do a couple times through so that we don't bring a quorum through at once, or the other option would be for the council to post a meeting. But we do want to make it available to you as soon as possible to have a chance to go through and look at it. But I think it would be much more helpful if we could have some initial recommendations from Mr. Kasseri. My belief is that we need a short-term plan to make sure that we preserve the asset, regardless of whatever the highest and best future use of the facility turns out to be. There's no scenario where it does not make sense for the city to restore the asset to good working order and to preserve it. And so I think that we would work with the council on a short-term plan for 2019. I believe that some of these fixes that are going to be immediately necessary will take a little time, particularly in light of the fact that we have to be aware now that the city has taken back possession. Anything that we do over there is subject to procurement. So some of these larger ticket items first are going to have to be brought to the council for approval, but then subsequently have to go through a procurement process, which takes a couple months. So it's going to take a little time to complete everything that needs to be done just because of the time frame of procurement. So I would look very much forward to, in the near future, coming back with Mr. Kassiri with some type of presentation for you, and to also at the same time work with the incoming council president for a scheduling of a tour of the facility for the council.
We're the largest privately held office supplier in the country right now, and it's coming out of Brockton, Massachusetts.
Kenworth has had a good experience in Brockton. The big selling point for Kenworth going to Brockton was easy highway access and a city that would be easy to work with to get a nicely renovated facility up and running quickly.
This is home. We love where we're at right now. And why would anybody not want to come to Brockton and go out there and try to shoot for the same kind of dreams with their company?
Business investments are helping to build a new Brockton.
In anticipation of the City of Brockton's new trash and recycling program, the Office of Mayor Bill Carpenter has teamed up the city with the Recycle Coach app, which is easily downloadable in Google Play and in the Apple App Store on most mobile devices. Once you have the app downloaded onto your device, type in and select Brockton, Massachusetts as your location. A page with our city seal will pop up, and click Confirm to continue. Right now, a notice should pop up alerting you of the city's new trash and recycling program. Click OK to acknowledge that, and then choose from one of 8 languages to be your preferred language while using this app. Once you have done that, enter your street name so that we can correctly keep you up to speed with notifications about trash and recycling pickup in your neighborhood. A screen will appear asking if you would like to be reminded about upcoming collections and/or events. If you choose to click yes, you'll have the option for reminders to be sent to your phone for trash pickup, recycling pickup, yard waste collection, Christmas tree collections, holiday trash schedules, and more. You can even set how far in advance you want the notification to be sent to you. From the homepage of the Recycle Coach app, one of the most commonly used features is the My Schedule feature. If you click on My Schedule, the app will show you what is going on in your neighborhood for trash and recycle pickup on any given week. Notice how on this calendar, it shows that your trash is being picked up every week, your recycling is being picked up every other week, and on one week during this month, your trash will be picked up a day later than normal due to a holiday schedule. If we jump ahead a month, the schedule also tells us what days yard waste will be picked up. The Recycle Coach app, just another way the City of Brockton is using technology to connect with its residents.
Yeah, we're gonna do some education. And you know why? Because they've never pushed the button. At night they're pushing it, because I've come by 2 different nights and seen it flash. So this first location of a rapidly flashing beacon is here on North Montello Street at the corner of Wilmington. Very busy spot for commuters getting on and off of the commuter rail to be crossing Route 28 North Montello Street here. So I'm sure that that had to be a big factor in selecting this as one of the locations, targeting areas where this type of pedestrian safety improvement would have the most impact.
Right, when we met with the task force, with the train station being so close to North Montello Street, you will find a lot of pedestrian traffic crossing here, so this is one of the target locations.
And particularly at this time of year, I know that we get a lot of early morning and later evening commuters that are actually going to work or coming home from work in the dark now at this time of the year, and crossing this street can be problematic in the dark. So these are the rapidly flashing beacons. We're going to actually look at 4 sets of them that have been installed, but just kind of give me a general overview in terms of the power, the signage, and exactly how they work.
So the intention of the RRFB, rectangular rapid flashing beacon, is only to give attention to a passing motorist that there's a pedestrian waiting to walk. So this isn't a stoplight, it's not a red light. This is just to gain the attention of a driver who might not see someone in the dark attempting to cross the street.
Right.
It's solar powered. As you can see, the solar power up top.
Yep.
The wiring comes down through the pipe into this box. Inside the box, there's a battery about the size of a car battery. There's wiring terminals, and there's a computer that's about twice the size of an iPhone. It's not a very big computer whatsoever. Okay. When someone comes up to push the button, it's just a touch button. You don't have to push it in or anything.
Okay.
Once you touch it, you'll get a tone that acknowledges that you've touched the button.
Yeah.
The beacons will begin to flash. Now, in addition to this project, there were improvements done to the pedestrian access to make sure that the ramps were good.
Yep.
And there was an additional signage. You can see about 100 feet up,
yep.
Facing the other direction, there's a pedestrian ahead sign.
We'll get a shot of that. So a big part of these safety improvements at these crossing points, it's not just the beacons, but it's the signage, and you can see the difference. And I've driven by these a number of times now. The signage here and the signage on both sides of the street, I mean, they are really bright fluorescent.
Right.
You see them in your car approaching, you see them from quite a distance. And when you add that to the flashing lights, but yeah, so there's signage that's already going to be warning the driver about a pedestrian crossing. And then if in fact someone's getting ready to cross, they hit the button, the flashing lights are going to gain the driver's attention, hopefully in plenty of time for them to stop and allow the pedestrian to cross.
Right, and they find that some of the biggest causes of pedestrian accidents is the distracted driver, and hopefully the rapid flashing beacon will get the attention of the distracted driver.
Right, so if that driver who may not be paying attention or may not be aware that they're approaching a popular pedestrian crossing, between the signage, the flashing lights, it's going to catch their attention. Hopefully they at least take their foot off the gas and slow down a little bit to look to see what might be there. So the flashing beacon, it's not a stop sign. It doesn't require a driver to come to a stop. It's designed to make the driver aware that there may be someone getting ready to cross the street right through their path.
That's correct. It's also important to remember that you need to use the crosswalk. As the pedestrian, this is not a stoplight.
Right.
So when you push the button, you still have to stand in the crosswalk and look both ways and wait for a safe passage.
Right. So you don't have the benefit of a traffic signal. And actually, these are designed to go at locations that don't have traffic signals, right? So we're going to tend to find these at busy intersections and busy spots that are not currently controlled by a traffic light.
Correct.
And with the solar power, no hard wiring involved.
Nope.
It'll store enough juice from the sunny days.
Right. There's no electrical power to this besides what's in the solar, and the battery is rated to last a few days, even without any solar.
Yep.
They are connected by radio, so when one button is pushed, both will activate. So you'll have flashing on both sides of the street at the same time, and that's radio controlled.
And actually, if we look at that one across the street, I think particularly maybe from up here, you can get a much clearer idea of what that solar panel looks like, and I guess facing the south, because that's where the track of the sun is.
Right.
All right, do you think we can...
So if we push the button, when we push it, we will get a red light, a little LED here.
Yep.
And we will get an audible tone, just a small chirp that
Yep.
acknowledges.
All right, so let's give it a try here and see what it looks like when a pedestrian activates it.
So you get the small chirp.
Yep.
It's flashing.
The lights are flashing,
So now we walk.
but still have to look both ways.
So they see us.
And that, right, now they've stopped and let us cross. Wow, that worked great.
And it's still flashing, so still plenty of time.
Yep. So the key is the light doesn't require the driver to stop. The light doesn't require the driver to stop, but hopefully by drawing attention to it, the driver now sees the person in the crosswalk and comes to the stop to allow them to cross. Yeah. Now I've got to tell folks, and maybe we can get a shot of this after dark, but I've come by here a couple times at night, and I mean, there is a dramatic difference in how visible those beacons are at night. When you're coming down this street at night and that beacon's flashing, you can see it from a long, long distance. It's drawing your attention. And it almost reminds you of a railroad crossing. It's
Right.
like approaching a railroad crossing, kind of the same idea, except for a pedestrian crossing.
Right.
All right, we'll take our chances and try going back again.
Okay.
So you can hear when you push the button. Yep.
We still
These
have
are-
to stop and look.
Yep. These are new handicap accessible ramps on each side of the crosswalk also, so
So this person's not familiar. So again,
Yep.
you've got to look.
gotta look. Oh, we're good now. And I think it's important to note that part of this project required by law was making sure that this intersection was fully ADA compliant.
Right.
So another benefit, and it did take a little away from some of the pedestrians, the extent of some of the equipment we could purchase, but in terms of us moving towards complete streets
Right.
and accessibility, we've not only redone the crosswalks and put this equipment in, but we've now also ensured that someone in a wheelchair can cross safely also.
Right.